Okay, hey everybody. Glad you could make it back to the channel. We're in the middle of doing a series of videos this year about all kinds of things. Sifting dirt. You may have already seen that video. That's part of this series. Dawn's been working on amending our soil so that when we do our seed planting inside, like we're about to do, we have some really good kind of softer dirt, not quite so chunky. Some of the potting soils, and we've tried out several recently and figured out that some are super chunky. They have a lot of bark, sticks, sometimes there's rocks. It just kind of depends on what brand you get, and we haven't really found like the perfect one. I don't know if there's a perfect one, but anyway, we're checking them all out, but he has gone through and sifted dirt, and in that video we also potted these up, amended the soil a little bit with some perlite and some cocoa core, and so that's what we're going to do this year. So it is allegedly the dead of winter in North Texas. It's the beginning of February. However, today it's going to be in the upper 70s, and we're expecting quite the warming trend. So it's beautiful outside, but we know that it's probably going to get cold again, and we're not going to get all excited and start planting out stuff. We like to seed start inside, and we are fortunate enough to have a spare bedroom right now that we call our grow room. So that's what this room is. It's sort of a multi-purpose room. I keep some of my succulents that actually live outdoors come inside for the winter, and I just either have them in here or around the house. Just got through repotting some of those yesterday, and I'm working on propagating some succulents from some leaves and stuff. But also, so we work on that in here. But this is where we have set up our grow light system, and all it really is it's a roll around shelf cart. I think it came from Sam's years ago. We have a few of them, using them in different places in the house and out in our shed and stuff like that. But these lights are shop lights or garage lights, utility lights, and we have them in different places. We have one in our potting shed, we have one in our greenhouse, but then we have a whole bunch of these and in here, and we use them for our grow lights, and they work great. Last year we only had one light per shelf, and we noticed that when it works out great if we're doing just a couple of trays per shelf, but we got kind of overzealous last year, and probably will this year. I can't make any guarantees, but we'll probably pot up quite a bit of stuff, and then what we do is we're able to get three trays if we turn them this way. But the problem with that is when we only had the one light, everything was reaching for the light, and we had to turn, like every day, had to turn the trays, the flats, because everything was trying to reach for the light and go to the center. So we're hoping that this kind of alleviates that by having two lights. And these are also kind of neat because they like on this one's on all the way, but like on this one, only the top is on. So there's like a light up top, a light on the bottom. So you can have it with just that, or both, like this one is. So anyway, we're going to experiment. This is all a big experiment. So that's what's going on. Anyway, but I wanted to show you, we're continuing with our series, and these are the trays that we got ready yesterday. And it depends, I guess, on when you're watching. I was just going to talk about some of the seeds that we're going to start this time. And Dawn actually ordered this set of little seed starting implements, little things, and that we can implement, and I'm not sure exactly what they are, but I don't think they came with any instructions. Maybe we'll go to the Amazon and look and see what they said about them. But this is interesting because I think you put the seeds in here and then you dial it around to maybe how many seeds you want. So there's like a little tiny hole that the seed could pour out of. And then if you do 2, maybe you're going to get 2 seeds. But how do you know how big the seeds are? So I'm not really sure exactly how this works. Maybe that's not what that means. I do think that this looks interesting. So it's it's got a plunger, and you take this part off and you put the seeds inside, put it back on, and that red thing is holding, you know, the hole closed. But when you plunge it, there's a little area right here where a seed could be, and I guess it drops out. So probably you want to hold it like this so it drops out the bottom, but you got to be careful. And again, some seeds are so tiny and some are much larger. So who knows? But anyway, and it came with, we've had these before, but it's nice for like making divots so you can, you know, depending on how deep, I feel like the one that I have somewhere else has a measurement on it, but it, you know, depending on how deep you need to make your holes for your seeds, and of course everything's different. And then there's some little labels that it came with, and I guess these are to hold your seeds, and maybe this is how you know, pour them or suck them up into something, I don't know, but these have a little snappy lid that's attached, so that's kind of handy. I was also going to say, if you don't have any of this fancy stuff, like this divot hole thing, you know, anything, a pencil, a paintbrush, a tiny dowel. I've used chopsticks before. So, you know, just, you don't have to have like all this, you know, kind of fancy stuff. You can use things around the house. Before we get started on this, I wanted to just talk about our process and kind of how we decide what we're doing. We try not to, like in years past, go into it just, you know, full force, and we don't know exactly what we're going to grow, and we just get all the things and all the seeds and all the plants, and then we're just, you know, by the end of I'm watching a squirrel out the window, you know, by the end of it, we're just inundated with all these plants, and we don't have everywhere, you know, somewhere to put everything in the landscape. And we're like, everybody come pick up a tray or a flat of, you know, this or that, petunias or zinnias or whatever we're growing. So anyway, we're, again, trying to rein it in. But we also try to kind of have a plan. So I sort of make notes. I have a little journal that's kind of my gardening journal, and I've had it for several years, and I like to kind of write in it, and also kind of keep little things that, you know, like when I buy stuff, I like to keep the tags sometimes because it kind of reminds me of what it is I'm doing with it. And I'll write down like what my plan is with it. We actually, in the fall, planted up a bunch of pansies and violas, or violas, depending on how you pronounce it. And they've done great. We put them out in the landscape, and they're loving life. There's a few of them that kind of suffered. We had some cold weather a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, as long as they were watered in, they did pretty good. But for the most part, everything looks happy out there and doing great. So we've got those out in the landscape for some color and winter interest, because, you know, most everything has kind of died back. I have a lot of lettuce out in our raised beds right now. I have a couple of different shorter raised beds, and then I have a higher raised bed, and I've got lettuce and bok choy and just different things. And anyway, so it's been nice because you just go out there and grab your salad for the day, you know. So anyway, but what I try to do is I try to write down at least, you know, what all I bought. Like I bought some stuff from Toadstool. We'd never bought any seeds from them before, so we got a few things. And I was gonna just show you the difference in it's no big deal. And we don't know how their seeds are, but we're trying them out. But this is their packaging. I just have a note on there telling me what's in there. This is their packaging, and this is how their seeds come. So you can get on their website, and they have some in general directions about their, starting their seeds and everything. That's kind of it. You're on your own, and maybe you already know about bachelor buttons or clematis or whatever, but if you don't, it's good to go look before you start all this stuff. And then you've got places like last year we bought a bunch of stuff from geraniums and salvia from Swallowtail Garden Seed. So this is what their packaging looks like, and it depends on the seed. Some come just straight up in the seed packet, and then others come in something like this inside the seed packet. So it's just, but look at, can you see how small those are? And they're kind of, they're kind of hairy looking. So those are going to be interesting. We'll have to really pay attention and not lose those. And then you've got people like, and of course there's just hundreds of seed providers in the United States alone. But then you've got somebody like Botanical Interests, who it's Epic Gardening is involved with them, and they have the most beautiful seed packets. I love their artwork. So anyway, but theirs come in these seed packets, and they have tons of information. First of all, you're getting 15 seeds, or thereabouts. It might be 16 or 17. But you know how much you're getting, what you paid. Gives you some information on the front, but on the back, it gives you a lot more information. And you can actually open this seed packet up, and there's even more stuff on the inside. Like I did that with one of these. Yeah, so on this mesclun thank you lettuce, this, I took it apart, and this is more information that came up with it. And they actually, this is actually a really good dressing recipe. Thank you dressing. And they had, every once in a while, if it's something you're eating or whatever, they'll give you a recipe. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, that kind of stuff. But that is how we sort of keep up with it. And once this stuff is planted, then of course I'm going to mark it here, but I'm also going to mark it in my journal so that I kind of have an idea, and I can sit down and read everything in one place. And I know I could do it online. We've tried to do, like a, what would you call it, a spreadsheet, a Google sheet.
Google.
And to kind of keep up with what, when we planted it, how long to germination, how long before your average last frost, all that good stuff. And it's just one more thing. You got to sit down at the computer and, and my husband and I both sit at a computer all day long, every day during the week. So it's laborious. And he's probably pretty good at keeping up with stuff like that, but I'm not so much. What I do when I get my seeds is I separate them out, and you see I've got little Post-it notes on here, and I clip them together. These in particular, Wild Bergamot and Black-Eyed Susan, this is Cherry Brandy. We've never grown that before, so I'm real excited about that. These are the 8 to 10 week range, and what that means is we need to start them now because we want to be 8 to 10 weeks out from our average last frost, which is usually, it's usually kind of more like the end of March, but it can go into mid-April. So we're just trying to figure out what to plant first. And once, we get those kind of established and going, then we're gonna go back, and I've got my 6 to 8 week stuff that I can start in a couple of weeks and start sowing those. So we're not gonna have a ton of stuff all going at once. It's gonna be more of a gradual. At some point, there will be several trays in here. I mean, there's no doubt, because we won't move them out to the greenhouse until they're really good and established. So, because that's just such a different situation for them than it is in here. Much more climate controlled in here. But we do warm our greenhouse, but just not as much as what's going on in the house. So, and then I've got my 4 to 6 weeks, and that's pretty much, and by then I'm going to be planting spring lettuce again. So, which doesn't take long at all to germinate and to harvest. So we are ready to, I want to actually do the geraniums from Toadstool first. And we did geraniums last year from Swallowtail, and they are all gorgeous. They all grew into these beautiful plants that we kept all summer long. We're wintering them over in their pots in the greenhouse, and they're so happy out there right now. I mean, they're just color. As a matter of fact, we need to pop a picture of them because they're all just like, let us out. No. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, about 15, 16. So what is this, an 18? So we've got an 18 pack tray here, and I know that these don't need to be very deeply planted. So I'm just gonna go down about 1/4 inch in every, remember I don't have it that many, but I'm gonna do what I can here. That many seeds. So we've got all that. All right. And I'm just gonna take, don't look at my fingernails because it's been a hard winter up to this point. I'm just gonna do 1 seed per tray. If I had a lot of seeds, I would do 2 per tray, but I'm just gonna do 1. I could take my little divot thing, or this little guy, and I could do this and just, or I could do it like this and just rake it off in there. All right. That's kind of, I don't know, can you see it well enough? Here we go. I don't know what this little serrated edge thing is about. Oh, that one didn't get quite in the hole. Now it's in there. So I'm just going to go along and do this. Get in there. Okay. Come over here. There he goes. Okay. Right in. And these are just going to go right in and go under the lights. Some things, and you have to kind of pay attention and read about them first. If they need to be cold stratified, then there's a few different ways you can do it. You could put your seeds in the refrigerator or even the freezer. I think the fridge is better. For a period of time, you could winter sow them and put them in the dirt. That one's kind of a weird color. I don't know if it's going to work as well, or it's going to be different. You could put them out in some soil and put them outside and just make sure they stay moist and keep them in a area where they don't get too much sun, but some light. And that is cold stratifying those kinds of things. So I've actually got some stuff going on out there, and we'll talk about it if I see movement. So the only one I don't have is this one. So that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark these, and these were the dark burgundy geraniums. I'm just gonna okay. Dark burgundy geraniums. My Sharpie's a little funky. It's been out in the shed all summer long, but I've got lots of them, so I can switch out if I need to. And today is 2/2/25, and that's just for me to just kind of remember what's going on with this. I'm going to put them like this. I guess I could turn it around so you could see I'm doing it like this. And I just know that, and I could, you know, really I could just take that out so I don't have to worry about what did I put in there. And then I could mark it later if I put it back in. So anyway, but that's kind of how that works. And the next thing I want to do, just to get them ready to go, is I'm going to go ahead and I've already got dirt on me. Nice. Okay. Which, heaven forbid, dirt, where there's dirt. And I'm just going to mist the tops of these. This was already pretty damp soil, even though we did it yesterday. We moistened it yesterday when Dawn was getting the trays ready, getting the soil ready for the trays. Kind of turn so I don't overspray all my stuff. And that's really all that needs today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it under the lights, and tomorrow, well, we'll probably look at them tonight, but tomorrow we'll really check them out, see where we're at with the moisture level. At this point, we don't want to let them dry out. And since we don't have a lot of heat going on in the house right now because of the way the weather is right now, I'm not too worried about it. But if it was really cold outside and we had the heat running really a lot in the house, I might consider putting a dome over these just to hold some more moisture. Or we could go back and put, and we may do this with something that we grow this season, but you know, we could put a layer of vermiculite over the top, and that would hold a lot of moisture in as well. So, but right now we're just going to let them ride. They're going to go in, and I'm not going to lift it up because it's real heavy, and I have a shoulder thing going on right now, so I'm going to let Dawn do that. So anyway, but we're just gonna put them under the lights, and we'll carry on with some other seed planting and probably bring you along for part of it, especially if we figure out something weird that we didn't know and we want to share. Anyway, but that's the end of this situation. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.